Welcome, and thank you for being here. Find a position that feels comfortable. You might be lying down or resting in a favorite chair. Let your shoulders soften. Let your hands become heavy, as if they have nothing left to hold. If it feels safe and easy, allow your eyes to close. And if you prefer to keep them open, you can simply let your gaze settle, gentle and unfocused, on a quiet point in the room. Tonight, you will hear a series of calm, original stories. Each one is made to be simple and unhurried. There is nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to solve. If you fall asleep in the middle of a sentence, that is perfect. The stories will keep a steady, friendly pace, like a small lantern in the distance. Before we begin, let us take a soft breath together. Inhale slowly as if you are smelling warm tea. And exhale as if you are fogging a window, long and easy. Again, inhale, letting the breath fill your ribs without strain, and exhale, letting the air leave at its own speed. Now, imagine the day setting itself down like a coat on a hook, one small movement at a time. The mind can quiet, not by force, but by permission. You do not have to chase away thoughts. You can simply let them drift by, like small leaves on calm water. In these stories, you will visit peaceful places, and you will meet gentle animal companions. A cat who walks beside you on a quiet pier, a tortoise moving slowly through warm lamplight, a rabbit resting in the scent of damp soil. Each animal is calm, kind, and safe, and each story follows a soothing routine, arriving, exploring, noticing, and settling. If you like, you can let your attention rest on simple sensations. The weight of the blanket, the temperature of the air, the steady support beneath you. With every breath, the body remembers how to rest. And now, with nothing required of you, we begin with our first gentle place. You arrive at the harbor as evening finishes folding itself into night. The road that led you here was narrow and calm, lined with low grasses that moved like slow breath in the wind. Now the air carries the clean, familiar scent of salt and damp boards. A small cottage sits near the end of the path, tucked between a weathered fence and a row of coiled ropes. In one window, warm light glows through thin curtains, as steady as a held note. You pause for a moment, letting your shoulders loosen, listening to the gentle rhythm of the water. On the porch, a cat waits as if it has been expecting you. Its fur is the color of toasted oats, and its eyes hold a soft copper shine. The cat does not rush. It simply blinks, slow and friendly, then steps forward with the quiet confidence of someone at home. You open the cottage door, and the hinge answers with a small, familiar creak. Inside, the room is simple and warm. A kettle rests on a small stove. A chair waits beside a knitted blanket. Everything seems arranged for comfort, as if rest itself has been practicing here. The cat, Mallow, crosses the threshold and walks a neat circle near your feet. You set down whatever you carried, gently, without any hurry. The night can wait. The harbor can wait. For now you are here, and that is enough. You light a lamp on the table. The flame catches, then steadies, and the room becomes a place of soft edges. Mallow jumps up onto a low windowsill, curling into a comma shape, watching the water as if it is reading a quiet book. You fill the kettle and place it on the stove. The small action is soothing. Hand to handle, water to metal, flame to warmth. Soon, a faint whisper of heat begins to rise, and the air feels even more welcoming. While the water warms, you take a slow look around. A shelf holds a few carefully folded maps and a jar of sea-smoothed stones. A coat hangs on a hook, smelling faintly of sun and clean wind. Nothing here is sharp or urgent. Everything moves at the speed of evening. When the kettle begins to sing, you pour hot water over a bag of chamomile. The steam rises in pale ribbons. You cup the mug in your hands, letting the warmth settle into your palms. Mallow stretches once, long and unhurried, then hops down, coming to sit beside you like a small guardian of quiet. After a few sips of tea, you feel ready to move again, the way one might feel ready after a long exhale. Outside, the harbor is dim but friendly. The moon is a soft suggestion behind thin clouds, and the water holds scattered reflections, small and trembling. You take a light jacket from the hook and step into the night. The cottage door closes with a gentle click. Mallow follows at your heel, paws silent on the porch boards, tail held in a relaxed curve. The pier stretches out into the harbor like a slow, steady sentence. Wooden planks, worn smooth by years of footsteps, guide you forward. As you walk, your pace naturally becomes slower. Each step feels deliberate, comfortable, and simple. Along the edge of the pier, ropes hang in loose loops. A few boys rest in a crate, waiting for tomorrow. You pass a little bench, damp with sea air, and pause there for a moment, looking out. Somewhere far away, a bellboy rings softly. Not startling, just present. The sound arrives and leaves like a thought that does not need attention. At the end of the pier stands the harbor lantern, protected by a small wooden shelter. It is not a grand lighthouse, just a practical light to guide small boats home. You open the shelter door and check the lamp inside. The glass is clear, the wick is steady, the oil is full, the routine is familiar, even if you have never done it before. A small task, a small care. You adjust the lantern until its glow is just right, and then you close the shelter gently, as if tucking it in. Mallow sits nearby, looking out at the water. In the lantern's warm light, the cat's fur seems to hold a hint of gold. You imagine that Mallow has watched many evenings from this pier, has listened to many waves, has learned the art of calm without effort. You lean your hands on the railing and breathe in. The air feels cool in your nose, and your breath leaves slowly. The water below moves in small, patient patterns, never hurrying, never stopping. A tiny boat rocks gently at its mooring. The rope tightens and loosens like a slow heartbeat. You watch it for a while, letting your mind settle into the motion. When you are ready, you turn back toward the cottage. Mallow rises too, as if it understands the unspoken plan. Together you walk the pier again, step by step, with nothing to chase and nowhere to rush. Halfway back you stop and look once more at the lantern. It shines steadily, a simple promise of guidance. You do not need a big promise tonight. A small one is enough. Back inside, the cottage feels even warmer after the cool night air. You hang your jacket and return to the table where your mug waits. The tea has cooled slightly, now the perfect temperature to sip without thinking. Mallow jumps onto the chair across from you, then changes its mind and chooses the rug near the stove. The cat turns in a slow circle, then settles, paws tucked beneath its chest. Its eyes drift half-closed as if it is practicing sleep as a gentle skill. You tidy the smallest things, not because they must be done, but because quiet routines are comforting. You rinse the mug. You fold the blanket on the chair so its edges are neat. You straighten a small stack of postcards on the shelf, each one showing a different calm view of the coast. Then you lower the lamp a little, letting the room soften further. Shadows gather in friendly corners. The cottage becomes a hush. You sit for a moment and listen. The waves, closer now, offer their steady rhythm. The wind brushes the window softly. Somewhere in the harbor, a rope creaks once, then falls silent. Your breath becomes slower without any instruction. Inhale, and the chest rises. Exhale, and the shoulders release. You do not have to force anything. The night knows how to guide you. When you stand, you do so carefully, as if you do not want to disturb the calm you have made. You move to the small sleeping nook where clean sheets wait. The fabric is cool at first, then quickly warms under your touch. Mallow follows, stepping lightly to the foot of the bed. The cat looks up, blinks slowly, and then curls into a small, steady bundle. Its purr begins, quiet as distant rain, a sound that seems to smooth the air. You lie down and let the blanket settle over you. The cottage feels like a safe shell, warm and simple. Outside, the harbor lantern continues its steady glow, guiding anyone who needs it. Inside, you are already where you need to be. And as the waves keep their patient rhythm, you can let yourself drift gently into sleep. Back at the table, you notice the jar of sea-smooth stones again. Each stone is different, shaped by time and tide into something gentle. You lift the lid and let your fingers sift through them, slow as stirring sugar into tea. You choose one stone that feels warm even in the cool room. It fits in your palm like a small promise. You set it on the windowsill beside Mallow's earlier spot, a quiet reminder of the water's steady patience. Near the shelf, a thin notebook rests with a pencil tucked into its spine. It is a simple harbor log, nothing formal. You open it and write a few calm lines. Lantern checked, water quiet, cat content. The words are small, but writing them feels like finishing a lullaby. You cap the pencil and close the notebook. Then you walk to the stove and check the flame, turning it down until it is only a warm breath of heat. You do not want the room too hot, just comfortably warm, like a blanket warmed in sunlight. Mallow stands and stretches again, then pads toward you. The cat leans lightly against your ankle, a soft touch that feels like a friendly punctuation mark. You bend and run your fingers along its back, slow and gentle. The fur is warm and clean. The purr returns, quiet and steady. You walk together to the sleeping nook. You pull back the covers and smooth the sheet, making small, careful motions. Then you sit on the edge of the bed for a moment, letting your feet rest on the floor, letting your breathing slow. Outside, the harbor holds its calm. Inside, the cottage holds yours. The lamp is low, the shadows soft, the air steady. You can hear the faint sound of water against wood, the same rhythm you heard on the pier. You lie down again, settling into the mattress. Mallow curls near your feet, a warm, gentle weight. Your hands rest easily at your sides, and your face relaxes without effort. With each slow breath, you can imagine the tide coming in and going out, bringing calm and carrying away anything you no longer need. And as the harbor lantern continues its steady glow, you drift a little deeper, safe and comfortable, towards sleep. The library is at the edge of a small town square where the street lights wear warm halos. You arrive just as the last visitor leaves, the door closing with a polite, final hush. Inside, the air smells like paper, wood polish, and a faint hint of tea. A librarian has left a lamp glowing at the front desk, not bright, just enough to guide you in. The main lights are dimmed, and the tall shelves create calm corridors of shadow and soft gold. You hang your coat on a peg and step quietly across the wooden floor. The boards do not creak much. They seem used to careful footsteps, used to people moving slowly among stories. Near the desk, a low basket sits beside a small sign that reads, Juniper. In the basket, a tortoise rests, half awake, its shell patterned like a gentle mosaic. Juniper lifts its head slightly, blinking with calm patience, then returns to stillness. You are not here for anything urgent. You are simply helping with the evening routine. The kind of routine that makes a place feel cared for, even while the town sleeps. On the desk, a small list waits for you, written in tidy handwriting. Reshelve the returns, water the fern by the window, set out tomorrow's bookmarks. Simple tasks that feel like quiet, steady breaths. You begin with the books. The return card is only half full, and the spines are familiar friends. Cookbooks, travel guides, gentle novels, collections of poems. You lift one at a time, feeling the weight, noticing the texture of each cover. Some are smooth, some are cloth. Some have corners softened by many hands. Juniper shifts in its basket. Slowly, the tortoise climbs out and begins a calm journey across the floor, one measured step after another. Its movement is so unhurried that it seems to slow the whole room, inviting everything into the same peaceful pace. You roll the cart down the first aisle. The shelves rise above you in quiet rows, and the labels on each section feel like gentle signposts. History, nature, folklore, art. Each word suggests a world, but tonight you do not need to travel far. Tonight, you only need the calm of returning things to their place. You slide a book onto its shelf, careful not to make a sound. The spines line up neatly, like a row of sleeping houses. You take a moment to appreciate the simple order, the way everything has a home. Behind you, Juniper continues moving, the soft scrape of its feet barely audible. Occasionally, the tortoise pauses, as if considering the best route, then continues without hurry. You find yourself matching that pace, your steps quieter, your hands gentler. At the end of the aisle, a window looks out onto the square. Rain has begun, light and steady, making the glass shimmer. Streetlights blur into soft, watery circles. The sound of rain is a steady comfort, like a blanket laid over the town. You water the fern by the window, watching the soil darken and settle. The leaves look glossy under the lamp, each one catching a small reflection. You place the watering can back in its spot, where it belongs. Next, you set out tomorrow's bookmarks. A small stack of paper strips, each printed with a calm quote about reading. You do not read them too closely. You simply align their edges, tap the stack lightly on the desk, and place them in a neat holder. Juniper reaches the edge of a rug near the reading nook and pauses. The rug is soft, and the tortoise seems to enjoy the change in texture. It rests there, shell rising and falling with slow, steady breaths. You return to the cart and continue reshelving. Poetry goes back to poetry. Nature goes back to nature. The work is gentle and satisfying. Each book returned is a small act of care. As you move, you notice tiny details. The way a lamp's pull chain hangs like a slender pendulum, the way the air feels slightly cooler near the window, the faint scent of cinnamon from a potpourri jar on a shelf. When the cart is empty, you stand for a moment in the aisle, hands relaxed at your sides. The library feels like it is exhaling, content. You find a small stack of misplaced books on a side table, likely left there by someone who changed their mind. You lift them one by one and return them to their shelves. The motion is slow and kind, like guiding sleepy children back to bed. As each book slides into place, the library feels more settled. Juniper pauses nearby as if observing the quiet order, then continues on, unbothered and calm. You make a simple drink, warm water with a little honey, in a small staff kitchenette tucked behind the desk. The mug warms your hands. The steam rises softly and disappears as if it knows not to distract. Carrying the mug, you walk to the reading nook. 2 armchairs sit beneath a lamp with a shade the color of cream. A small table holds a bowl of smooth stones, placed there for no reason other than comfort. Juniper is still on the rug, now fully settled. The tortoise's eyes are half closed, its head resting low, as if it has decided that the evening is complete. You sit in one of the armchairs, letting the cushion support your back. You do not need to pick up a book, though you could. Instead, you simply rest in the presence of books, in the quiet promise of stories waiting patiently. Outside, the rain continues, tapping softly on the glass. Inside, the clock ticks with steady kindness, each second like a slow footstep in a long hallway. You take a sip of your warm drink, then another. The sweetness is mild, the heat gentle. Your breathing slows naturally, syncing with the calm rhythm of the room. After a while, you stand and lower the lamp a little. The light becomes softer, more golden. Shadows deepen between shelves, but nothing feels dark. Everything feels sheltered. You walk back to the front desk and check the lock on the door. It clicks into place with a quiet certainty. The library is safe for the night, tucked in like a child under blankets. Juniper does not move as you pass. The tortoise remains calm, a small, steady reminder that there is no need to hurry. You pause for a moment and look down, offering a silent good night. Then you take your coat, step outside, and let the cool air meet your face. The rain is still gentle. The square is empty and peaceful. Behind you, the library holds its quiet worlds, and Juniper rests in warm lamplight. Before you leave for the night, you take a slow walk through the library, not to check for problems, but to enjoy the calm you have helped create. The aisles feel like gentle corridors in a friendly dream. You straighten an armchair in the reading nook, nudging it back into place with a careful touch. You lift a cushion, fluff it once, and set it down again. The small movements feel like smoothing the surface of the evening. On a side table, you notice a cup ring left behind from earlier. You wipe it with a soft cloth until the wood looks clean again. The room seems to sigh, pleased to be cared for. As you pass the shelves, you let your fingertips hover near the spines without touching. You do not need to pull a book out. You simply enjoy the quiet presence of so many waiting stories. Juniper has begun another slow journey, moving from the rug toward the desk. The tortoise crosses the floor with steady purpose, as if it has its own closing routine. You walk beside it for a moment, matching the pace, letting your steps become even slower. When Juniper reaches the basket, it pauses. Then, with patient effort, it climbs back inside and settles, turning slightly until it finds a comfortable position. The tortoise's head lowers, and its eyes close, calm and satisfied. You place a small cloth over part of the basket, leaving enough space for air and comfort. The gesture feels like tucking in a friend. You whisper a soft good night, more breath than sound. At the front desk, you turn off the remaining lamp, leaving only a tiny nightlight near the exit. The library becomes dim, but not dark. It becomes restful. You check the windows, not out of worry, but out of habit. Rain still streaks the glass, steady and gentle. The town square outside is quiet, wrapped in soft reflections. Finally, you open the door and step out into the cool night air. The rain is light, almost mist. You pull your coat close and take a slow breath, feeling the freshness. Behind you, the library rests. The shelves stand like calm guardians. Juniper sleeps in its basket, and the quiet you made inside follows you out like a warm scarf around your shoulders. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. Before you walk away, you pause beneath the library's awning and listen to the rain for a few calm seconds. The sound is steady, soft, and even. It turns the town into something quieter, like a page that has been turned gently. You take a slow step, then another, letting your shoes find their own pace on the wet stones. Street lights glow in small pools along the square. Each pool of light feels like a safe place to rest your attention for a moment, then let it go. You pass an umbrella stand by the door and notice a few umbrellas left to dry, their fabric dark with rain. The simple sight makes you think of mornings, of people arriving with damp coats and quiet hopes, stepping into warmth and books. The library will welcome them again, patient as ever, and for now, it rests, holding its calm like a closed cover holding a story. The greenhouse sits behind a small garden wall, its glass panels catching the last traces of evening light. Rain is already falling, beating on the panes and sliding down in slow, clear lines. When you open the door, a wave of warm, damp air greets you, carrying the scent of soil and green leaves. Inside, the sound of rain becomes softer, filtered through glass. It is like listening from under a blanket. The paths between plant beds are neat and narrow, lined with small stones that shine in the lamplight. A row of lanterns hangs overhead, each one casting a warm circle on the plants below. Leaves glisten, Ferns unfurl in quiet spirals. The whole space feels alive, but not busy. It is alive in a calm way, the way a sleeping cat is alive, breathing steadily. You are here for the evening routine. It is simple and soothing. You check the thermometer. You make sure the vents are set. You water what needs watering and leave the rest alone. Near the entrance, a small basket holds gloves, twine, and a notebook. You put on the gloves and open the notebook to the latest page. The handwriting is calm and practical. Mist the citrus, trim the basil, refill the water tray for the orchids. As you step onto the first path, you notice a small movement near a pot of rosemary. A rabbit, pale gray and round as a cloud, sits tucked beside the pot, ears relaxed. It looks at you with quiet curiosity, then lowers its head again, as if sleep is more important than anything else. The rabbit does not run. It seems to belong here, a gentle companion in the warm plant air. You take that as a sign that everything is safe, quiet, and right. You walk to the glass wall and wipe a small circle of condensation with a cloth. Through the clear spot, the garden outside looks soft and blurred, rain falling in thin lines. You watch for a moment, letting your eyes rest on the gentle motion. Then you let the condensation return, and the view becomes dreamy again, as if the greenhouse prefers its calm privacy at night. You pick up the watering can and begin with the herbs. The basil leaves are soft and fragrant under your fingers. You pour slowly, letting the water soak in without splashing. The soil darkens, then settles, holding the moisture like a secret. The rabbit shifts slightly, then remains still. Its sides rise and fall in slow breaths. Sometimes the rabbit's nose twitches, as if tasting the air. The small motion is oddly comforting, like a quiet clock. You move to the citrus trees, their leaves glossy and thick. A tiny green fruit hangs from one branch, still growing. You mist the leaves with a spray bottle, creating a soft, cool fog that disappears into warm air. As you work, you notice the rhythms of the greenhouse. Drip, drip from a leaf into a tray. A faint hum from a heater in the corner. Rain tapping above, steady and patient. The sounds layer together, creating a calm blanket of noise. You trim a few stems of basil and place them in a small jar of water. The scent rises gently. It reminds you of kitchens and quiet dinners, of chopping herbs slowly while a pot simmers. The orchid table is next. You refill the shallow tray beneath the pots, watching the water spread in a thin, shining sheet. The orchid blooms look like soft sculptures, pale and careful. You do not touch them. You simply appreciate them. The rabbit has moved closer to the warmest spot near a low vent. It is now resting with its paws tucked beneath its chest, eyes fully closed. The rabbit seems to have decided that you are part of the greenhouse's routine, another calm element in the evening. You write a short note in the notebook. Rain steady, all plants well. Rabbit resting near rosemary. You add a small smile in the margin just for yourself, then close the book. In one corner, a small bench sits beneath a hanging plant. You sit for a moment, letting the warm air wrap around you. Your hands rest on your knees. Your shoulders soften. Through the glass, the outside world is blurred by rain. Inside, everything is clear, warm, and quiet. Near a tray of seedlings, you pause to check the tiny sprouts. Their stems are thin and brave, holding up small leaves that look almost translucent in the lantern light. You add a few drops of water with a careful hand, not too much, just enough to keep the soil gently damp. The rabbit's ears flick once at the sound of water, then relax again. The greenhouse seems to approve of quiet attention, of doing only what is needed and leaving the rest to time. You take a moment to press your palm gently against the side of a large clay pot. The pot is warm, holding heat like a slow memory. The warmth travels into your hand and you let it linger there, a small grounding sensation, before moving on. When you stand again, you move even more slowly, as if you do not want to disturb the calm. You check the vents once more and make a tiny adjustment, turning a dial a fraction. Then you place the tools back in their basket. The rabbit stirs as you pass, opening one eye, then closing it again. Its trust feels like a gentle gift, uncomplicated and warm. At the far end of the greenhouse, there is a small basin where you rinse your hands. The water is cool. You dry them on a clean towel and hang it neatly on its hook. Now it is time to dim the lanterns. One by one, you lower them, leaving just enough light for the plants to feel safe. The shadows deepen between leaves, but the warmth remains. The greenhouse becomes a softer version of itself, more like a dream. You return to the rabbit and crouch at a respectful distance. You do not reach out. You simply offer a quiet presence. The rabbit's breathing remains slow and steady, as if it is listening to the rain from inside sleep. You whisper a good night in your mind, and then you rise and walk toward the door. Before you leave, you look back one last time. The lanterns glow faintly, leaves shine. The rabbit is a small, calm shape beside the rosemary. Outside, the rain meets you again, cool and gentle on your skin. You pull your hood up and walk along the garden wall, listening to the steady fall of water. The greenhouse behind you holds its warm air and its quiet life tucked in for the night. The rabbit rests, safe and sleepy, and you carry that calm with you as you go. Before leaving, you sit again on the bench beneath the hanging plant, letting the greenhouse hold you in its warm air. The rain continues outside, steady and reliable, like a soft drum played very far away. You look closely at a single leaf, watching a droplet gather at its tip. The droplet grows clear and round, holding a tiny upside-down world. Then it releases and falls, landing in the soil with a quiet tap. The leaf lifts slightly afterward, lighter, as if relieved. The rabbit stirs and opens its eyes for a moment. It shifts its paws, then settles again. The rabbit's calm feels contagious, as if it is teaching the simplest lesson: rest is allowed. You take out the notebook one more time and write a short line about the evening. Vents set, orchids watered, herbs trimmed, rabbit sleeping by rosemary. The words feel like closing a gentle chapter. You stand and walk slowly down the paths, making a final unhurried round. You check the citrus leaves, still misted and glossy. You check the fern table, still green and full. You check the trays beneath the orchids, still holding water like a small, quiet lake. At the door, you pause and listen. Rain on glass, heater hum, drip, drip. The greenhouse is its own lullaby. You lower the final lantern until the light becomes soft and sleepy. The plants remain visible in gentle outlines like shapes in a dream. The rabbit is a small, calm presence in the corner, safe and warm. When you step outside, the cool air meets you again. The garden wall is dark with rain, and the stones of the path shine. You pull your hood up and walk slowly, letting each step be quiet. Behind you, the greenhouse stays warm, holding leaves and soil and soft light. The rain continues its steady work, and your mind can continue to quiet just as naturally, one slow breath at a time. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. At the end of the garden path, you pause beneath a small tree whose branches drip steadily into the grass. The drops make tiny dark spots on the ground that fade as new drops land. Watching them is oddly calming, like counting slow beats in a song. You turn your face toward the rain and let it cool your forehead for a moment. Then you step forward again, moving toward home with a softness in your chest, as if the greenhouse has handed you a quiet pocket of warmth to carry. The valley is wrapped in a pale velvety fog when you arrive at the tram station. The lights along the platform glow like small moons, each one surrounded by a soft halo. The air smells of damp pine needles and cool stone. The station is quiet at this hour. A signboard displays the next departure in calm, simple letters. There are no crowds, no hurried lines, only a few benches and the gentle promise of a slow ride. A dog sits near the gate as if it belongs to the station itself. It is large, with a thick coat and kind eyes, the color of dark honey. A small tag on its collar reads, Briar. Briar looks up as you approach, tail giving a slow, friendly sweep against the ground. The dog does not jump or bark. It simply acknowledges you, then returns to watching the tracks with peaceful attention. The tram car arrives with a soft mechanical sigh. Doors slide open smoothly. The interior is warm, lit by small lamps along the ceiling. You step inside, choosing a seat by the window where you can see the fog and the faint shapes of trees. Briar follows, padding in after you with quiet confidence. The dog settles on the floor near your feet, body relaxed, head resting on its paws. It feels comforting to have such calm company, like carrying a small piece of home into the night. A gentle chime sounds, the doors close. The tram begins to move, slow and steady, as if it is careful not to wake the mountain. On the platform, you take a moment to feel the steady ground beneath you. The metal railing is cool under your fingers. A small paper ticket sits in your pocket, light as a leaf. The simple details make the journey feel safe and ordinary. Briar leans gently against your leg for a second, a quiet, friendly contact, then returns to sitting, as if the dog is reminding you that you do not need to brace for anything. This is an easy ride. This is a calm night. As the tram climbs, the valley lights drift away beneath you, becoming scattered points, then disappearing into fog. Outside the window, pine trees appear and fade, their shapes softened by mist. The world feels quiet and simplified, as if someone has lowered the brightness and turned down the noise. Inside the car, the hum of the tram is steady and soothing. It is a sound you do not need to focus on. It simply exists like a gentle purr made of machinery and motion. Briar breathes slowly beside you. Sometimes the dog's ears shift slightly, listening to the sounds outside. Then the ears relax again. Briar seems to know this route well, not because it is exciting, but because it is familiar. You rest your hands in your lap and watch condensation gather on the window. A thin line of water slides down the glass, leaving a clear trail for a moment before the fog returns. You trace the trail with your eyes, following it slowly, then letting it go. The tram passes a small mid-mountain station. The platform is empty, lit by a single lamp. The doors do not open. The tram glides past, continuing upward without interruption. You take a slow breath and notice the warmth inside the car. The air feels slightly scented with clean fabric and faint pine. The seat beneath you is firm but comfortable, supporting you without asking anything in return. Briar shifts position, turning once in a careful circle before settling again. The dog's tail rests like a soft rope. Its presence is steady, grounding. If you feel your thoughts drifting, you can simply return to the quiet fact of Briar's breathing, in and out, calm and even. Outside, the fog thins for a moment, revealing a slope of dark trees and a pale ribbon of trail. Then the view softens again, returning to gentle gray. The tram's rhythm continues. Upward, steady, not fast, not slow, just right. You imagine the mountain ahead, peaceful and still, holding its quiet in the dark. You notice a small sign inside the tram car that lists the stops, each one printed in calm, simple text. Valley Station, Pine Bend, Cloud Shelf, Upper Lodge. The names feel gentle, like places from a dream. Briar's paw shifts slightly, and you hear the faintest jingle of the collar tag. The sound is small and reassuring, a reminder that this is a shared journey, quiet and safe. Eventually, the tram eases into the upper station. The movement slows until it becomes still, as if the car has decided to rest. The doors open with a soft slide, letting in cool, pine-scented air. You step onto the platform. The fog is thinner here, and the sky above shows a few faint stars. The station is small and tidy. A wooden sign points toward a lodge, only a short walk away. Briar stands and stretches, front paws reaching forward, back arching gently. Then the dog looks up at you as if to say, "This way." You follow, walking along a path lined with low lanterns. The lodge appears like a warm pocket of light among the trees. Its windows glow amber. A thin line of smoke rises from the chimney, disappearing into the night. The door opens easily, and a wave of warmth welcomes you in. Inside, the space is quiet. A kettle simmers on a small stove. A row of mugs hangs from hooks. A bench holds folded blankets, clean and soft. You pour hot water into a mug and add a bit of herbal tea. The steam rises gently. You take a sip and feel the warmth spread through your chest. Briar settles on a rug near the stove, close enough to share warmth but not demanding attention. The dog's eyes soften. The lodge is clearly a familiar place, a safe one. You sit on the bench and loosen your shoulders. Outside, the mountain is calm. Inside, the air is warm and still. The day has no more demands. After a few quiet minutes, you dim the lamp. The lodge becomes softer, more shadowed, more ready for sleep. Briar's breathing is slow, like the steady hum of the tram, now remembered rather than heard. You let your own breath match that gentle pace, and you allow yourself to settle, as if the mountain has given you permission to rest. You take one more sip of tea and feel how the warmth seems to settle in your stomach, easing everything downward. Outside, the trees remain still. Inside, the air is soft. The lodge is doing the simplest job in the world, offering shelter, and it does it well. The lodge has a small shelf of simple comforts: a tin of cocoa, a jar of honey, a stack of folded socks, and a few thin booklets about local trails. You choose one booklet and sit near the stove, not to plan anything ambitious, but to enjoy the calm drawings of paths and pine trees. Briar lifts its head when you sit, then lowers it again, satisfied. The dog's calm fills the room like warm air. You pull on the thick socks from the shelf and feel your feet relax. You set your shoes neatly by the door. Then you place your jacket on a hook and smooth it once, the way you might smooth a blanket. In the kitchenette, you rinse your mug and set it upside down to dry. The sound of water is gentle. The lodge seems to respond well to small, tidy actions, as if it appreciates quiet order. You pour a small bowl of water for Briar and place it near the rug. The dog stands, takes a few slow laps, then returns to the warm spot near the stove. The routine is simple, and it feels caring without being complicated. Outside the window, the fog has thinned. The trees are clearer now, their branches outlined against the night. A few stars show above them, pale and steady. You sit again, hands resting in your lap, and let your breathing slow. The lodge is so quiet that you can hear the faint tick of cooling metal from the tram's distant machinery, imagined more than heard. You can also hear your own breath, steady and soft. Inhale, and the warmth settles deeper. Exhale, and the muscles release. When you feel ready, you turn down the lamp until the room becomes dim and cozy. You check the door latch once, not because you are worried, but because small rituals feel reassuring. Briar shifts closer, curling near the foot of the bed as if it has done this many nights before. You lie down and pull the blanket up, feeling the weight settle over you. The mountain outside is still. The lodge inside is warm. Briar's breathing is slow and even, and with that steady rhythm nearby, you can let the last bits of the day fade gently into sleep. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. You open the booklet and let your eyes move over a few lines about the mountain's plants. Nothing technical, just notes about pine scent after rain, about moss that grows on the shaded side of stones. Reading a little feels like rocking slowly back and forth without effort. When you close the booklet, you place it back on the shelf exactly where it was, spine outward. Small order, small peace. The sky is a pale watercolor when you reach the river, not quite day, not quite night. The air is cool and fresh, and the water moves with a slow, glassy confidence. A thin mist rests on the surface, turning reflections into soft blurs. A small wooden boat waits at the dock, tied with a tidy knot. You step in carefully, feeling the gentle shift beneath your feet. The boat steadies quickly, as if it has done this many times and knows how to hold you. You pick up the oar and push away from the dock. The movement is quiet, the water accepting the oar with a soft hush. Each stroke makes a small ripple that widens and fades. As you glide forward, reeds line the riverbank. Dew clings to their tips, catching the faint light. Somewhere in the reeds, a bird calls once, then returns to silence. Near a bend in the river, a duck appears. It is small and round, with feathers the color of warm bread and a gentle green sheen at the neck. The duck paddles toward you, not hurried, just curious. It draws close enough that you can see the small beads of water on its feathers. Then it matches your pace, swimming beside the boat as if you are traveling together. You do not feed it, you do not try to touch it, you simply share the river with it, and that feels like enough. Ahead, you see soft lights on the water. The floating market is beginning, boats gathered like a quiet neighborhood. There is no rush, no loud calling, just the calm start of a morning. You pause your oar for a moment and let the boat drift. The mist moves around you in slow swirls, and the river seems to carry you without effort. In the quiet, you can hear your own breathing and the soft drip of water from the dock behind. The duck stays with you, paddling in a small line, then making a gentle curve and returning to your side. Its companionship feels simple and steady, like walking with a friend who does not require conversation. You slow your rowing as you enter the market area. Boats are arranged in loose rows, each one offering something simple. Baskets of fruit, bundles of herbs, small jars of honey, a pot of tea steaming gently under a cloth cover. The sellers move slowly as if they, too, are still waking. Their voices are low and friendly, more like murmurs than conversation. You let your boat drift, guided by small movements of the oar. The duck stays close, paddling in lazy circles, sometimes dipping its beak into the water. It seems content just to be near, a calm companion on this early journey. You choose a boat that offers tea. The seller pours a small cup and hands it over with a quiet smile. The tea smells faintly of jasmine, soft and floral. You hold the cup carefully, warming your fingers. Another boat offers fruit, sliced neatly into small pieces. You select a few, placing them in a cloth bag. The fruit is cool and sweet, and eating it feels like a gentle way to greet the day. As you drift farther, you notice a boat with flowers. Small bunches wrapped in paper, pale blooms that look like morning itself. You pick one simple bundle, not for decoration, but for the feeling of holding something fresh and quiet. The duck watches the movement of your hands, then resumes paddling. It does not ask for anything. It simply exists beside you, steady and curious. Above, the sky brightens a little more. The mist lifts in thin strands, and the river's surface becomes clearer. You can see your boat's reflection slightly broken by ripples, then whole again. You take another sip of tea. The warmth settles into your chest, spreading slowly. Your shoulders loosen. Your mind feels more spacious, like the river widening. The market continues around you with soft life. A ladle dipping into a pot, a basket being set down, a quiet thank you. Everything is gentle, as if the morning itself is speaking softly. A boat nearby offers warm rice wrapped in a leaf, simple and comforting. You accept one portion and set it carefully in your bag, knowing you can eat it later, slowly, without hurry. The seller's smile is quiet, and your thank you is just as soft. The duck circles your boat once, then settles beside it again, paddling with small, even strokes. The river seems to carry you both, holding you up without asking anything in return. Near the edge of the market, you pause and let your boat rest against a gentle current. You listen to the quiet clink of a cup on wood, the soft splash of another oar. The sounds are small and soothing, as if everyone has agreed to speak softly to the water. You take out your flowers and smell them once, then wrap them again. The scent is faint, clean, and comforting. You feel ready to drift onward, carrying that softness with you. When you feel ready to leave, you turn your boat toward the open river. The market stays behind, still calm, still glowing softly on the water. You row with slow, steady strokes, letting the boat glide between movements. The duck follows for a while, paddling alongside again. You notice how smoothly it moves, how effortlessly it stays afloat. The duck seems to understand something simple and wise about water, about letting support hold you. You pass the reeds again. The birds are more awake now, but still quiet. The riverbank smells of wet earth and green growth. The air is cooler near the surface of the water, and you breathe it in slowly. At the bend, the duck pauses and turns toward the reeds, as if remembering somewhere it needs to be. It swims in a gentle arc, then looks back at you for a moment. Its head tilts slightly, not dramatic, just attentive. You offer the duck a silent good morning, and then you continue on. The duck disappears into the soft shelter of plants, leaving the river beside you empty again, but not lonely. Soon the dock comes into view. You guide your boat in carefully, tying the rope with a calm knot. The wood under your feet feels solid as you step out. You carry your small purchases, light and simple: tea, fruit, flowers, small comforts. The day is still young, and it feels kind. And as you walk away from the river, the calm of the water stays with you, steady and quiet, like a gentle hand resting on your shoulder. After tying the boat and stepping onto solid ground, you do not rush away. The river is still nearby, and it feels kind to linger for a moment, letting the morning settle fully around you. You find a small bench near the dock and sit. The wood is cool, slightly damp with dew, but comfortable. You set your cloth bag beside you and open it slowly, as if you are unwrapping calm. First, you take out the flowers. You place them in a small jar of river water you find on a nearby shelf, meant for exactly this purpose. The blossoms lift their heads in the fresh air, and their pale color looks even softer in the growing light. Next, you take out the fruit and eat a piece, slowly, letting the sweetness be gentle rather than bright. The taste is simple. The act of eating feels like grounding, like telling your body that it is safe and cared for. You pour a little of the jasmine tea into a small cup and sip. The tea is cooler now, but still fragrant. You breathe in the scent before you drink, letting it guide your thoughts into quiet. On the river, the market boats drift farther away. Their lights are less noticeable now as daylight grows. The sounds of the market become faint, blending into the soft background of morning. You think of the duck again, its steady paddling beside your boat, the way it followed without needing anything. The memory feels soothing, like a small charm you can keep in your pocket. A breeze moves over the water, making tiny ripples. The ripples widen, then smooth out again, as if the river is practicing calm. You sit for another minute or two, doing nothing at all, just breathing, just listening, just letting the morning arrive. And when you finally stand, you do it slowly, carrying the river's steadiness with you, as if it has been poured into you like tea. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. After your long pause, you stand and take a slow walk along the riverbank. The path is smooth and the grass beside it is wet with dew. Your bag swings lightly at your side, and the flowers in their jar remain near the dock, brightening the small space. You stop once more to look at the water. The sun is higher now, and the surface reflects the sky in a pale, calm sheet. You breathe in, and the air tastes clean. You breathe out, and your body feels a little heavier in the best way. At home, or wherever you are headed next, you imagine setting your bag down and placing the small things in their places. Tea on the shelf, fruit in a bowl, flowers by a window, simple order, simple comfort. Even if you do not actually do these things tonight, the image is soothing. It tells your mind that life can be gentle, that mornings can be soft, that you can move through a day with steady breaths and quiet pauses. You take one more look at the river, then let your gaze lower. The day can continue without you watching it. Your body can rest. Your thoughts can rest. The calm can stay even as you walk away. The observatory sits in the middle of a wide meadow, a small white dome surrounded by tall grass. At night, the grass looks like a dark sea, moving in slow waves when the wind passes through. The sky above is clear, scattered with stars that feel patient and far away. A path of flat stones leads you to the door. Each step is quiet, and the night air feels cool on your cheeks. You can smell dry grass, clean earth, and something faintly sweet, like distant wildflowers. Inside, the observatory is simple and tidy. A single lamp glows on a work table. The telescope rests in the center, pointed upward, waiting. The room feels like a calm instrument, ready for gentle attention. You set down a notebook and a thermos of warm herbal tea. The tasks tonight are not urgent. They are simply part of the observatory's routine, like brushing a sleeping animal's fur or folding a blanket carefully. Near the lamp, a few moths flutter in slow circles. Their wings are pale and soft, catching the light like tiny pieces of moon. They are not frantic. They move with a drifting grace, as if they are practicing a kind of quiet dance. You watch them for a moment, letting your breathing slow. The moths come and go around the lamp, and the room feels warmer because of them, as if their presence makes the light more alive. You step toward the telescope and check the controls. The equipment is well cared for, and everything moves smoothly. You make a small adjustment, turning a knob until the telescope aligns with a marked point on the wall. Outside, the meadow is dark and soft. Inside, the lamp glows, and the moths continue their gentle circles. You open the dome's slit just a little, letting a ribbon of night air slide in. The coolness mixes with the warmth of the room, creating a balanced comfort. You pull the telescope toward the opening, guiding it with patient hands. Tonight, you are not searching for anything dramatic. You choose a simple part of the sky, a cluster of stars that look like scattered salt. You look through the eyepiece and let your eyes adjust. The stars sharpen into tiny points, steady and quiet. You write a few notes in your notebook. Not scientific, not heavy, just observations. Clear sky, gentle breeze, stars steady, moths near the lamp. The moths drift closer, then farther. One lands briefly on the edge of the table, wings closed like a small folded letter. It stays for a few seconds, then lifts again, rejoining the slow orbit of light. You pour a little tea from your thermos into a cup. The warmth is gentle, and the scent is soft, perhaps chamomile with a touch of mint. You sip slowly, letting the heat settle in your chest. As you look up at the sky, you notice how the mind can become spacious in a place like this. Thoughts arrive, but they do not need to stay. They can pass through like the wind through grass. You make one more small adjustment to the telescope, then rest your hands at your sides. The room is quiet. The moths are quiet. The night is quiet. For a moment, it feels like the whole meadow is breathing with you. On a small shelf, you find a pair of soft gloves and slip them on, not because it is very cold, but because the fabric feels comforting. The gloves make your hands feel held, supported, as you adjust a dial and listen to the quiet click. One moth passes close to your shoulder, then drifts away again. Its flight is slow enough that you can follow it without effort, and then let your attention return to the stars. After a while, you decide it is time to close the observatory for the night. The stars will continue without you. The meadow will continue without you. Rest is part of the routine, too. You gently turn the telescope away from the opening and secure it in its resting position. You close the dome's slit, listening to the soft slide of metal, the quiet finality of a well-done task. The moths remain near the lamp. Their flight has slowed even more, as if they are growing sleepy. You dim the lamp slightly, not to send them away, but to soften the room. You gather your notebook and close it. The page holds simple words, but the real record is in your body, in the way your shoulders feel lighter, in the way your breath has become steady. Before leaving, you take one last look around. The telescope rests. The lamp glows faintly. A moth lands on the wall, still as a small piece of night. You step outside. The meadow air is cool and clean. The grass moves in slow waves. The sky is still full of stars, patient and quiet. As you walk back along the stone path, you feel as if you are carrying a little dome of calm with you. Not a heavy thing, just a gentle shelter. When you step out of the observatory, you do not leave immediately. The meadow is inviting, and the sky feels like a calm ceiling stretched wide above you. You walk a short distance from the dome, just enough to see it behind you, a small white shape in the dark field. The grass brushes your ankles softly. It is cool with night dew, and the sensation is gentle rather than sharp. You move slowly, letting the meadow set your pace. Above, the stars seem clearer away from the lamp. You look up and notice how many there are, more than you usually remember. Some are bright and steady. Some are faint and shy, only visible when you relax your eyes. You find one constellation you recognize, not because it is important, but because it feels familiar. You trace it with your gaze, point to point, then let your eyes drift to another pattern. The sky does not demand focus. It simply offers quiet. A moth flutters out of the observatory door behind you, drawn by the lingering light. It circles once, then settles on the outside wall of the dome. Its wings fold neatly, and it becomes still, like a small patch of moonlight resting. You stand for a moment and listen to the meadow. The insects make a soft chorus, a steady, peaceful sound. The wind moves through grass, creating a whisper that comes and goes. Everything feels balanced. If thoughts appear, you let them be small and distant. You do not chase them. You do not argue with them. You let them float in the wide sky of your mind, while your body remains here in the quiet field. You take one slow breath and notice the temperature of the air in your nose. Cool on the inhale, slightly warmer on the exhale. The breath is simple, and it feels reassuring. After a while, you walk back to the observatory door. Inside, the room is dim now, the lamp low. The moths that were circling earlier have found places to rest, perched quietly on the wall or the edge of the table. Their stillness makes the room feel even calmer. You place your notebook on the shelf and set the thermos beside it. You do not need to carry everything at once. You can move slowly, one small item at a time. You fold a cloth and place it over the eyepiece, a gentle cover to keep dust away. You check the telescope's lock again, feeling the small click that says, "Secure." The motion is like closing a drawer or tucking in a blanket. Then you turn the lamp down until it is barely more than a warm glow. The room becomes mostly shadow, the kind that feels soft and safe. The dome stands quietly, holding the night. Before leaving, you pause at the doorway and look back one last time. The telescope rests. The notebook waits. The moths are still. The observatory feels like a friend who will be here again whenever you return. You step outside and close the door gently behind you. The meadow receives you again. The stone path is cool under your feet, and you follow it slowly toward the far edge of the field where the trees begin. At the boundary of grass and forest, you stop. The meadow stretches behind you, pale under starlight. The dome is a small shape in the dark, calm and quiet. The stars overhead feel patient, as if they have all the time in the world. You let yourself borrow some of that patience. Then you continue on, walking slowly, letting the night air and the steady chorus of insects guide you into deeper calm. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. At the edge of the meadow, you notice how the grass changes, becoming slightly shorter, slightly firmer. The change under your feet is subtle but calming, like moving from a soft rug to a smooth wooden floor. You keep walking, steady and quiet, and you let the wide sky remain in your mind like a gentle, open window. As you walk, you notice the scent of the meadow more clearly. Cool dew, dry grass, a hint of earth that has been warmed by day and is now cooling into night. The scent feels clean and grounding. You brush your fingers lightly against the top of the grass as you pass, barely touching, just enough to feel the texture. The grass bends and rises again, unbothered. The whole field seems to practice letting go. You keep your steps slow. You keep your shoulders soft, and you let the wide sky remain with you, not as something to think about, but as a quiet space that makes everything feel easier. The bakery's front window glows softly onto the street, a warm square of light in the evening. You turn the sign to closed, and with that small motion, the world becomes quieter. The last customer has already gone, and the bell above the door rests without ringing. Inside, the bakery smells of flour, vanilla, and the comforting warmth of bread that has recently cooled. The counters are clean. The display shelves are mostly empty. Everything feels calm and ready for the slower work that happens when no one is watching. You tie on a simple apron and wash your hands. The water is warm, and the act is steadying. When you dry your hands, you do it slowly, as if you have all the time in the world. From somewhere above, you hear a soft flutter. A sparrow lands on a wooden beam near the ceiling, small and neat, watching you with bright, gentle eyes. It does not seem frightened. It seems curious, as if it has been here before. You nod to the sparrow, quietly acknowledging its presence. The bird tilts its head, then settles, feathers puffing slightly for warmth. Tonight's routine is peaceful. You wipe the counters, sweep the floor, and prepare a small batch of dough for tomorrow. The tasks are simple, and each one has a beginning and an end, like small waves on a shore. You walk to the front window and wipe the glass with a soft cloth, watching the streetlights smear into warmer shapes as the last streaks disappear. The window becomes clear again, but the outside world remains quiet, as if the street itself is ready for sleep. Above, the sparrow adjusts its feathers and settles deeper into its perch. The bird's stillness makes the bakery feel even more sheltered. You measure flour into a wide bowl. The powder rises in a soft cloud, then settles like snow. You add a pinch of salt, a spoonful of yeast, and a little warm water. The mixture comes together slowly under your hands, sticky at first, then smoother as you knead. Kneading is its own kind of meditation. Press, fold, turn. Press, fold, turn. The rhythm becomes steady, and the mind naturally follows it. Quieting as it goes, the sparrow watches from above. Occasionally it shifts its feet, making a tiny sound against the wood. It remains calm, as if the bakery's warmth has made it feel safe. You cover the dough with a clean cloth and place it in a bowl to rest. The cloth drapes like a gentle blanket. You set the bowl near a slightly warm spot, not hot, just comfortable, where the dough can rise at its own pace. Next, you prepare a small pot of tea. The kettle heats with a soft whisper. You pour the water and let the tea steep, the scent mild and soothing. You take a sip and feel the warmth settle into your throat and chest. You move through the bakery with quiet care. You rinse mixing tools. You stack clean pans. You fold towels into neat rectangles. Each action feels like smoothing a sheet, like making a bed for the next day. The ovens are off now, but they still hold warmth. When you open one door to check, a gentle wave of heat drifts out, then fades. You close it again, and the oven ticks softly as it cools, like a quiet clock. The sparrow flutters down to a lower shelf, closer now. It lands near a small dish where a few crumbs rest, left deliberately. The bird pecks once, then pauses, then pecks again. Its movements are precise and unhurried. You continue your tasks, letting the sparrow be part of the scene, another soft detail in the evening routine. You take a moment to weigh the dough in your hands, noticing how it feels both soft and strong. You fold it once more, then place it back beneath the cloth. The patience of dough is comforting. It does not hurry. It simply becomes. At the sink, you rinse flour from your fingertips and watch it swirl away in the water, disappearing without drama. Clean hands, clean counters. A clean, quiet end to the day. In a small crock near the stove, a starter rests beneath a lid. You stir it once with a wooden spoon, slow and gentle, then set it back. The scent is mild and comforting, like grain and warm air. You wipe the rim clean and replace the lid, completing another small circle of care. When everything is tidy, you dim the front lights, leaving only a small lamp on the back counter. The bakery becomes a calmer version of itself. Shadows soften along the shelves. The air feels even warmer and quieter. You check the dough again. It is resting peacefully beneath its cloth, doing its slow, silent work. You do not need to rush it. You simply trust it to become what it will become, in its own time. The sparrow has finished its crumbs and now sits on the edge of a basket, feathers slightly fluffed. It blinks slowly, as if it too is growing sleepy. You open the back door for a moment to let in a breath of cool night air. The street outside is quiet. A street light hums faintly. You close the door again, keeping the warmth inside. Before you leave, you walk through the bakery one last time, as if saying goodnight to each part. Counter clean, floors swept, tools stacked, dough resting, tea mug rinsed. You glance up at the sparrow. The bird looks back, calm and still. You do not try to usher it out. The bakery feels safe, and the sparrow seems content to stay in its warm corner for the night. You hang up your apron, switch off the final lamp, and step quietly into the darkened street. Behind you, the bakery holds its gentle warmth, its patient dough, and its small feathered guest. And as the ovens cool and the night deepens, you can imagine the whole bakery breathing slowly, settling into sleep. Before stepping out, you take a slow breath and notice the lingering scent in the air. Warm flour, a hint of sweetness. The quiet promise of tomorrow's loaves. The scent feels like a comfort you can keep, even after the door is closed. You touch the counter edge once, lightly, the way you might touch a door frame when leaving a familiar room. It is a small, grounding goodbye. Before you leave, you prepare a few small things for tomorrow, not because you must, but because it feels comforting to know the morning will begin smoothly. You check the jars of flour and sugar on the shelf, each one labeled neatly. You top them up, pouring slowly so nothing puffs into the air. The grains settle with a soft whisper. You wipe the rims and close the lids, hearing the small, satisfying twist. You lay out a clean mixing bowl and a wooden spoon on the back counter. You place a folded towel beside them. The tools look calm and ready, like instruments waiting for a quiet song. On a small note card, you write a simple reminder for the morning. Preheat oven, shape dough, brew tea. The list is not demanding. It is gentle, like a friendly note left for yourself. The sparrow flutters once, landing a little closer to the back counter. It watches you write, then tucks its head briefly under a wing as if practicing rest. You return to the dough and lift the cloth for a moment. The dough has risen slightly, smooth and soft. You press it lightly, feeling the slow spring beneath your fingers. Then you cover it again, letting it continue its patient work through the night. You sweep the floor once more, not because it is dirty, but because the motion is soothing. The broom moves in long, quiet strokes. Dust gathers and disappears, and the bakery feels even more peaceful. At the front window, you pull the curtain halfway, letting the streetlight outside become a softer glow. The bakery turns inward, private and calm. You pause and listen. The cooling oven ticks faintly. The kettle settles. The sparrow is quiet. Your own breathing feels slower than when you arrived, as if the bakery has given you its steady rhythm. When you step toward the door, the sparrow shifts again and looks down at you. You offer it a silent good night, and the bird's stillness feels like an answer. You lock the door with a gentle turn of the key and slip it into your pocket. The bakery is safe. Tomorrow is prepared. Tonight is quiet. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. You leave a tiny dish of water near the back wall, just in case the sparrow stays through the night. The dish is shallow and safe. You place it gently, then step back, letting the bird decide. The sparrow glances down, then settles again, feathers puffed. The bakery feels like a warm pocket in the quiet street, and you feel grateful for its simple steadiness. On your way out, you pause at the threshold and let the bakery's warmth meet the cooler air outside. The contrast is gentle, like dipping a hand into a cool stream after holding a warm mug. You take a slow breath and notice how the scent of bread and flour lingers on your clothes, a soft reminder of comfort. For a moment, you imagine the night inside the bakery continuing quietly. The dough rising in its bowl, the sparrow resting in its safe perch, the counters clean and waiting. It feels peaceful to know that even while you sleep, small, calm processes continue, steady and kind. The desert is quiet at twilight, its wide openness feeling calm rather than empty. The sky shifts from pale gold to soft violet, and the air cools in a gentle, steady way. You follow a low stone path to a tea house that sits like a warm lamp in the sand. The tea house is built around a small courtyard. Smooth stone tiles hold the day's warmth, and a few cushions are arranged under a simple canopy. Lanterns hang from wooden beams, their light soft and honey-colored. As you step into the courtyard, you see a camel resting nearby. The camel is large but peaceful, legs folded beneath its body, eyes half closed. A small woven halter rests loosely, and a tag on it reads, "Saffron." Saffron lifts its head slightly and looks at you with calm, patient eyes. There is no hurry in that gaze. The camel seems to belong to the desert in the same way the stars do, steady and unbothered. You set down your bag and take a moment to breathe in the air. It smells of warm stone, dry herbs, and a faint sweetness from tea leaves. The tea house door stands open, inviting you in. Inside, shelves hold jars of dried mint, chamomile, and rose petals. A brass kettle sits on a small stove, already warm. Everything is arranged with simple care, as if someone has practiced making comfort here for a long time. Tonight, your routine is easy. Prepare tea, arrange cushions, offer water, then rest in the quiet. You step to the edge of the courtyard and feel the last warmth stored in the stones under your feet. The warmth rises softly, meeting the cool air, creating a balanced comfort. You can tell this place was made for evenings like this, for slow tea and quiet company. Saffron's ears flick once, then relax. The camel's calm is steady, as if the desert itself is lending you its patience. You fill the kettle and set it to simmer. The water warms with a soft whisper, and the scent of metal and steam rises gently. You take a small jar of dried mint from the shelf and place a pinch into a teapot. When the water is ready, you pour it over the mint. The smell blooms immediately, fresh and calming. You cover the teapot and let it steep, watching the steam drift upward and disappear. Outside, saffron shifts slightly, then settles again. The camel's presence feels grounding, like the weight of the earth beneath you. You carry the teapot to the courtyard along with 2 small cups. You arrange the cushions, patting them gently so they sit neatly. The fabric is soft, woven in simple patterns that feel warm to look at. You pour the tea slowly. The stream is thin and steady. The cups fill, and the scent of mint spreads into the cool evening air. You wrap your hands around a cup and take a careful sip. The tea is warm and bright, not too strong, just comforting. Saffron watches you. You speak softly, not with many words, just a quiet greeting. The camel blinks slowly, then lowers its head again, as if it is satisfied by the sound of a calm voice. After a few sips, you stand and take a small brush from a hook by the wall. You walk to Saffron with an unhurried pace, staying respectful and gentle. The camel does not move away. You begin brushing along its neck and shoulder, the bristles moving through the coarse fur with a soft sound. Brush, pause, brush, pause. The rhythm becomes soothing. Saffron's eyes close more fully. The camel's breathing is slow and deep. Each exhale feels like a warm wind. You continue brushing, letting the motion quiet your thoughts. When you finish, you place the brush back on its hook. Saffron remains calm, as if the brushing has smoothed the evening itself. Near the cushions, a small bowl of smooth stone sits on a low table. You pick up one stone and roll it between your fingers. It is warm from the day, and its surface is polished by time. You place it back, feeling as if you have completed a tiny, satisfying loop. Saffron's tail flicks once, slow and relaxed. The camel seems comfortable with the quiet attention, comfortable with the slow flow of the evening. As you brush Saffron, you notice the gentle sound it makes, bristles moving through fur, steady and soft. The sound is like sweeping a quiet floor, calming and repetitive. You finish with one last slow stroke and then let your hand rest at your side, feeling the calm settle in. The sky has deepened now, the violet turning into a dark, soft blue. The first stars appear, not all at once, but slowly, one after another, like lanterns being lit far away. You return to the cushions and sit. The stone beneath you still holds a faint warmth from the day, and the air around you is cool enough to feel refreshing. You pull a light blanket over your legs. Saffron rests nearby, a steady silhouette in the lantern glow. The camel's shape is familiar and comforting, like a large, gentle hill. You pour another small cup of tea. The mint is still fragrant, still warm. You sip slowly, letting the warmth move through you. A wind chime tinkles softly somewhere on the tea house roof. The sound is delicate, never sharp. It comes and goes, like the night breathing. You look up at the stars again. They feel quiet, and they make the world feel wider in a peaceful way. You do not need to understand them. You can simply let them be. After a while, you stand and tidy the cups, placing them on a tray. You lower the lantern light a little, letting the courtyard become softer and dimmer. Saffron shifts once, then settles again, patient and still. You offer a quiet good night, and the camel's slow blink feels like an answer. You step inside the tea house and close the door gently, leaving the courtyard calm and safe under the stars. The scent of mint lingers in the air, comforting and clean. And as the desert cools and the night deepens, you can let your own thoughts cool too, settling into quiet. You stay on the cushions a little longer, letting the tea house become part of your breathing. Inhale and you notice the scent of mint and warm stone. Exhale and you notice the cool air on your cheeks. Inside the tea house, a shelf holds small bowls of spices, not meant for anything intense, just gentle additions. A pinch of cinnamon, a few dried rose petals. You bring a small dish outside and sprinkle a few petals into the teapot, letting the fragrance become slightly softer, slightly sweeter. The lanterns sway just a little in the breeze. Their light moves across the courtyard tiles in slow patterns, like waves on sand. You watch the patterns for a while, letting your eyes relax. Saffron shifts again and makes a soft sound, not loud, just a quiet presence. The camel's slow movements make the night feel even slower, even safer, as if there is plenty of time for everything. You stand and tidy the tea things. You pour the last of the tea into the cups, then set the teapot back on its tray. You wipe a small drop from the rim of a cup. Tiny actions, calm and complete. Before going inside, you walk to the courtyard gate and check the latch. It is closed and steady. The tea house is sheltered. The desert night outside is vast, but it does not feel threatening. It feels like a wide blanket of cool air and stars. You return to the cushions and pull the blanket a bit higher over your legs. Your shoulders soften. Your jaw relaxes. Your hands rest easily in your lap. Up above, the stars have multiplied. The sky is clear and deep, and the constellations feel like quiet patterns stitched into fabric. You do not need to name them. You can simply let them exist. Saffron's silhouette is still, patient. The camel's breathing is slow enough that you can almost count it if you wanted, but you do not need to. You let the rhythm wash over you. A breeze passes, and the wind chime answers with a delicate note. Then silence returns. When you finally stand, you do it without hurry. You carry the tray inside, set it on the counter, and turn down the lanterns until the courtyard is lit only by a soft glow. You close the door gently and step into a small sleeping room lined with woven rugs. The room is warm and simple. You lie down and let the fabric support you, the way the sand supports the tea house, the way the night supports the stars. Outside, Saffron rests. Inside, you rest. The desert cools slowly. The tea house breathes quietly. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. You notice the way the blanket's weave catches lantern light, creating small patterns of shadow and glow. You run your fingers over it once, then let your hand rest. The texture is comforting, like a familiar sweater. The tea house feels unhurried. The desert feels unhurried. You allow yourself to be unhurried, too. The post office sits where the forest path widens, a small wooden building with a tidy porch and a single lamp above the door. The light is warm, and it spills onto the steps like honey. Pine trees surround the place, their branches moving gently in the night breeze. You step inside and close the door softly behind you. The room is simple: a counter, a wall of small mail slots, a wooden table for sorting. A small stove in the corner gives off steady warmth. On the table, bundles of letters rest neatly tied with twine. They are not urgent or heavy. They are ordinary, friendly pieces of paper traveling between quiet lives. You hang your coat and wash your hands at a small basin. The water is warm. The towel is clean. The familiar routine settles your mind, like a key turning smoothly in a lock. As you begin sorting, you notice a small movement near the stove. A hedgehog waddles out from behind a basket of kindling, round and low to the ground. Its spines look soft in the lamplight, more like brushed bristles than anything sharp. The hedgehog pauses and looks at you. Its nose twitches, testing the air. Then it takes a few more steps, unhurried, as if it knows this is a safe place. A small tag on a ribbon around its middle reads, Pip. Pip sniffs near the stove, then settles into a spot where the warmth is gentle. The hedgehog becomes a quiet companion, simply present while you work. On a hook by the door, a small bundle of keys hangs, each one labeled with a cabin marker. The keys do not need to be used tonight, but seeing them there is reassuring, like knowing you have everything you need. You glance again at the mail slot labels and enjoy their gentleness. River Turn, Cedar Bend, Fern Hollow. Simple names like soft directions in a calm world. You begin with the simplest task, placing letters into their proper slots. Each slot is labeled with a cabin name or a trail marker. Fern Hollow, Cedar Bend, River Turn. The names feel like little poems. You pick up a letter, feel the smoothness of the envelope, and slide it into the correct place. Another letter follows, then another. The repetition is comforting. Pick up, read, place. Pick up, read, place. Pip moves a little, exploring slowly. The hedgehog approaches the table leg and sniffs it, then circles back toward the stove. Pip's footsteps are almost silent, but you sense the gentle movement, the quiet life nearby. When the letters are sorted, you tie a few bundles with twine. The twine wraps around the paper with a soft rasp. You knot it neatly, the kind of knot that holds without being tight. Next come the stamps. You press the ink pad lightly, then stamp each outgoing envelope with a clean, steady motion. The sound is satisfying, a soft thump that repeats without hurry. Between tasks, you pour yourself a mug of warm tea from a small kettle on the stove. The tea is mild and comforting. You take a sip and feel the heat spread through your hands and chest. Pip pauses near your boots, nose twitching. You do not reach down. You simply remain still, allowing the hedgehog to feel safe. After a moment, Pip turns away again, content to explore at its own pace. You check the lanterns on the shelf. Their glass is clear. Their wicks are trimmed. You light one and the flame catches, steady and calm. The lantern's glow adds another layer of warmth to the room. A delivery route waits for you, but it is not far. Only a short walk along the forest path to a row of cabin mailboxes. The forest is quiet tonight, and the task feels peaceful rather than demanding. On a pegboard near the counter hangs a small map of the trails, drawn in simple lines. You glance at it, tracing the route you walked with the lantern. The path looks easy on paper, and it felt easy under your feet, too. You place the map back and smile gently. Knowing where you are, even in a small way, can make the whole body relax. You place the bundled letters into a small satchel and step onto the porch, lantern in hand. The night air meets you, cool and fresh, scented with pine and damp earth. The lantern light makes a small circle on the path ahead. The forest path is gentle beneath your feet, covered in needles and soft soil. Your steps are quiet. The lantern sways slightly, the light moving in slow rhythms. Pip does not follow outside. The hedgehog has chosen the warm stove corner, and that feels right. Some companions stay close. Some stay behind. Both can be comforting. As you walk, you hear the wind moving through branches. The sound is steady, like a long exhale. You pass a cluster of ferns, their fronds dark and still. You pass a fallen log covered in pale moss. Soon the row of mailboxes comes into view, each one painted a soft color, each one topped with a small roof to keep off rain. You open the first box and place the letters inside, one bundle at a time. The metal door closes with a quiet click. You continue along the row, moving slowly, letting the task be simple. Place, close. Place, close. The lantern light glows on the painted boxes, making the colors warmer. When you finish, you turn back toward the post office. The path is familiar now. The lantern's circle guides you home. Inside, the warmth welcomes you again. You set the lantern on its hook and remove the satchel. The room smells of tea and wood and paper. Pip is where you left it, curled near the stove, eyes half closed. You sit at the table for a moment and rest your hands on the smooth wood. The letters are sorted. The route is done. The building is quiet and safe. You watch Pip breathe slowly, and you let your own breath slow too, as if the forest has taught you its steady pace. Between the mailboxes and the post office, you pause once to look up. The tree branches form a gentle canopy, and a few stars peek through. The lantern light does not fight the darkness. It simply adds warmth to it, making the night feel friendly. You continue walking with the same unhurried pace, enjoying the quiet crunch of snowless soil and needles beneath your boots. Back at the table, you open a small ledger book. It is not complicated, just a record of routes and deliveries, written in calm lines. You write the date, then a few simple notes. Letters delivered to cabin boxes. Lantern checked, rain none. Wind light. The act of writing is soothing. It gives the evening a gentle shape, like folding a paper crane. You close the ledger and set it in its place beneath the counter. Pip has shifted closer to the kindling basket again, nose working steadily. The hedgehog seems to be searching for the warmest, coziest corner. You look at the small woven blanket on a chair and decide to make that corner even more comfortable. You fold the blanket into a thicker pad and place it near the stove, not too close, just where the warmth is gentle. Pip approaches slowly, sniffs the edge, then steps onto it. The hedgehog turns in a careful circle and settles, body relaxing into the softness. You pour yourself another small mug of tea. The steam rises and the smell is mild and comforting. You sit at the table and hold the mug with both hands, letting the warmth soak into your fingers. The post office is quiet in a way that feels earned. The letters are sorted. The route is done. The lantern is hooked. Pip is settled. Outside, the forest wind moves through branches with a soft hush. Inside, the stove makes a faint ticking sound as it holds warmth. Your eyes feel heavier, and you welcome that heaviness. You do one final check of the door latch, then pull the curtain over the small window, leaving a thin gap so the lamplight becomes softer. The room turns into a quiet nest of wood, paper, and warmth. Pip's breathing is slow, almost imperceptible. The hedgehog looks peaceful, as if it has found exactly the right place to rest. You take one last sip of tea, set the mug down, and allow your shoulders to drop. The forest does not ask anything of you tonight. The post office does not ask anything of you. In this small, warm room, you can let your thoughts settle like letters into their slots, each one placed gently away, until the mind feels tidy and quiet. And now, as the night continues, we drift into another gentle place. You sit a little longer, watching the flame in the stove through its small glass window. The fire moves slowly, not leaping, just breathing. Each glow, each dim, each glow again. Outside, a branch taps softly against another in the wind, a tiny wooden percussion that never becomes loud. Inside, Pip remains curled on the folded blanket, a small rounded shape of comfort. You let your eyes soften. You let your breathing deepen. The forest holds the building. The building holds you. The winter forest is bright in a quiet way, even at night. Snow reflects the moonlight, turning the ground into a soft, pale field. Pine trees stand still, their branches heavy with white. The air is cold but calm, the kind of cold that feels clean rather than harsh. A cabin sits in a clearing, smoke rising gently from its chimney. The window glows with warm light, and the sight of it feels like a promise. You walk toward it along a narrow path where footprints have already been pressed into the snow. When you reach the porch, you brush a little snow from your sleeves and step inside. The door closes softly behind you. Warm air wraps around your face and hands. The cabin smells of wood, wool, and something faintly sweet, like dried apples. A small fire burns in the hearth, steady and low. A kettle rests nearby, warming slowly. The room is simple and comfortable. A table, a chair, a shelf of folded blankets, and a bed tucked into a corner beneath a quilt. You set down your coat and boots and take a moment to stand still, letting your body adjust to the warmth. Your shoulders drop. Your jaw unclenches. The cabin holds you gently. Outside the window, a shape moves. You look up and see a reindeer standing at the edge of the clearing. It is calm and quiet, its coat dark against the snow. Its breath forms small clouds in the air. The reindeer steps closer, slow and careful. It does not seem afraid. It simply seems present, as if it has come to check on the cabin's warmth. You watch with a soft smile, feeling the comfort of sharing the night with another quiet being. Near the hearth, a neat stack of firewood rests against the wall. You take one log and feel its weight, solid and steady. You place it closer to the fire so it will be ready later. Then you align the stack again, making the edges tidy. The small order feels comforting. In winter, warmth is made of simple steps: a log placed here, a kettle warmed there, a blanket folded just so. You move to the small kitchen area and begin a gentle routine. You fill a pot with water and set it on the stove. You add a handful of dried vegetables and a pinch of herbs. Nothing complicated. Just something warm that will simmer and fill the cabin with a comforting scent. As the pot begins to heat, you pour yourself a cup of warm tea from the kettle. The cup warms your hands immediately. You take a slow sip and feel the heat settle into you, spreading through your chest like a quiet light. Outside, the reindeer remains in the clearing. Snow drifts gently from a branch, falling in a soft shower. The reindeer flicks an ear, then becomes still again. You check a small basket by the door and find a bundle of dried lichen and a few slices of apple. You open the door just a little, letting in a ribbon of cold air, then step onto the porch. The reindeer looks up, calm and attentive. You place the lichen on a flat wooden tray near the steps. You set the apple slices beside it. Then you step back, giving space, making the gesture gentle and respectful. The reindeer approaches slowly. It lowers its head and takes a small bite, chewing with steady calm. The sound is soft. The reindeer does not hurry. It eats as if the night is long and there is plenty of time. You stand on the porch for a moment, breathing in the cold air. Your breath rises in pale clouds. The stars above are clear, scattered like tiny seeds on dark cloth. Then you return inside, closing the door softly. The cabin warmth returns, and the fire crackles with quiet steadiness. You stir the pot on the stove. The scent of herbs rises, mild and soothing. The simmering sound is gentle, like rain on a roof. You sit at the table and wait while the soup finishes. Waiting feels easy tonight. Waiting feels like part of rest. While the soup simmers, you take a small brush and dust a shelf, not because it needs much, but because the motion is calm. The bristles move gently over wood, lifting a trace of ash, then leaving the surface smooth. You put the brush back, enjoying the quiet order. You also set a pair of wool mittens near the hearth to dry, turning them so the warmth reaches them evenly. The mittens look cozy there, as if they are resting too. When the soup is ready, you ladle a small bowl and sit near the fire. The warmth reaches your face and the firelight makes the cabin glow. You eat slowly, tasting the simple flavors, letting each bite be unhurried. Outside, you can see the reindeer through the window. It has finished eating and now stands quietly in the clearing, as if enjoying the cabin's light from a distance. Its presence feels like a steady anchor in the snowy night. After your meal, you rinse the bowl and set it to dry. You add a small log to the fire, just enough to keep the warmth steady. You do not make the fire large. You keep it calm, like a gentle heartbeat. You fold a blanket and place it on the chair. You smooth the quilt on the bed. These small actions feel like preparing a nest, making the space ready for sleep. The cabin grows quieter as you dim the lamp. Shadows soften. The fire becomes the main light, flickering gently, never sharp. You stand at the window for a final moment. The reindeer turns its head slightly, and for a second, you feel as if you are sharing a quiet understanding. No words, just the comfort of calm presence. The reindeer begins to walk away, slow and graceful, disappearing between trees. The clearing remains bright with snowlight, peaceful and still. You climb into bed and pull the quilt over you. The fabric is warm and heavy in a comforting way. Your body settles into the mattress, supported and safe. The fire crackles in the background. The wind outside is a soft whisper. The forest rests. The cabin rests. And you can rest too, letting your breath become slow, letting the warmth hold you, drifting gently into sleep. You sit for a few minutes in the chair, not doing anything at all. The firelight moves across the walls in slow patterns. The patterns feel like a gentle language the cabin speaks, a language that means rest. Outside, the clearing remains bright with snowlight. Inside, the warmth is steady. You let the two comforts meet in your mind, cool and warm, night and shelter, balanced and calm. You are already warm beneath the quilt, but you take a moment to notice how the cabin sounds change as you settle. The fire's crackle becomes quieter, more like a soft whisper. The kettle, now cooling, makes a faint tick. The wood of the cabin seems to hold stillness. Outside, snow begins to fall again, light and steady. Through the window, you can see flakes drifting down in slow lines, illuminated by the cabin's warm glow. They look like tiny feathers floating without hurry. You think of the reindeer's tracks in the snow, a calm path that led away into the trees. There is comfort in knowing that gentle life continues outside, moving steadily through the night. Your hands rest on the quilt, and the fabric feels soft under your fingers. You let your hands become heavy. You let your arms relax. You let your face soften, as if the muscles are remembering how to sleep. If you like, you can take a slow breath and imagine that the snow is falling inside your mind too, covering the day in a quiet layer. Not hiding anything, just softening edges, making everything gentler. Inhale, slow and easy. Exhale, long and comfortable. The fire keeps a steady warmth. The cabin keeps its shelter. The forest keeps its quiet. Soon, the window becomes a blur of soft flakes and warm light. Your eyelids feel heavy. Your thoughts become slower, like footprints filling in behind you. And with the steady rhythm of the fire and the gentle drift of snow, you allow yourself to sink fully into rest, safe and comfortable, letting sleep arrive in its own time. You notice the weight of the quilt again, how it presses lightly down, making you feel held. You allow your body to sink into that held feeling, like settling into warm sand, like resting in a deep chair. If a thought arrives, you imagine it as a snowflake drifting past the window. It appears, floats, and lands somewhere out of sight. Another comes, then another, each one gentle, each one quiet, until the mind feels softly covered and still. The wind outside moves around the cabin in a slow circle, and you hear it as a soft, steady hush. It does not rattle or knock. It simply passes by, like a hand smoothing a blanket. You can let your attention rest on the simplest count. One slow inhale, one long exhale, another inhale, another exhale. The counting is not work. It is just a gentle place for the mind to sit. If you notice the mind wandering, you guide it back kindly, the way you might guide a sleepy child back to bed. No scolding, no urgency, just a return to the steady rhythm of breath and warmth. Somewhere in your memory, the reindeer's calm presence remains, quiet and patient. It is a comforting thought, as gentle as the snowfall, as steady as the fire. And then, without needing to decide, you drift a little deeper, carried by warmth, carried by quiet, carried by the simple permission to rest. As our final story settles, you can let your attention rest wherever it feels easiest. Maybe it rests on the warmth of your blanket. Maybe it rests on the simple rhythm of your breathing. Inhale, slow and easy. Exhale, long and comfortable. You do not have to hold on to any of the details from tonight. The harbor light, the library shelves, the greenhouse rain, the mountain tram, the river at dawn, the quiet moths, the bakery warmth, the desert tea, the forest post office, and the winter cabin can all drift away like gentle clouds. If you are still awake, that is completely fine. You can simply keep listening, letting the words become softer and less important until sleep arrives in its own time. And if you are already asleep, then this is simply a quiet good night. Rest well, and may your night be calm and safe. If you would like to visit these gentle places again, you are always welcome to return on another quiet night. And if you choose to subscribe or leave a kind comment, you can do so another time when you are fully awake. For now, there is nothing to do but rest.